Welcome to Build a Quilt Block 1. I'm Angela.
And I'm Joni.
And we're here to show you how easily this goes together. Well, Joni's going to teach you. I'm just going to watch. When I designed the blocks, I wanted ones that looked really intricate and interesting, but weren't very difficult to quilt. Now this block isn't hard. There's a little bit of stitching and flipping, a little bit of lining up the points, but for the most part, don't you think it's pretty easy?
It's good.
Good. Well, you have your pattern and you have your fabric. Now Joni, Quilter Extraordinaire, is going to show you how easy it is to piece together. So Joni, take it away.
I want to show you a little bit of the tools that I think that would be great for you to try to use. Some of you I know are beginners, and some of you have been doing this a very long time, so we're just going to kind of meet everybody in the middle and teach you a lot of maybe some new things. First of all, great thread to use would be Aurifil for piecing, your 1/4 inch foot, or you can use sewing edge strips that just put right here on your machine, 6.5 inch square ruler, your pens, scissors, rotary cutter. For marking, I like friction pins. You might want to use a walking foot. I'll put this on as opposed to my 1/4 inch foot when I've got a lot of pieces to match. And finally, a quick quarter ruler. This will help us as we do our half square triangles. Okay, we are ready to start on the blocks. Cut out all your pieces. Then the first thing we're going to do is do your center assembly, the half square triangles. There's lots of different ways that you can make them. You can mark it one of two ways. You can mark it simply straight down the center like this with your pin, or you can use your quick quarter ruler. You lay it from point to point, and you just mark it right like this, and just mark it this way. Then I like to take and put a couple of pins in so it doesn't shift. This will become my cutting line, but you don't need to mark 3. You can just mark 1 or those 2. So right now you're going to sew a 1/4 inch from that center line mark. Then we're going to take and just flip this around and do the next side. And so there you have. Okay, so now we're going to take our ruler, put that right back on from point to point or on your line that you drew, and we're going to cut those right in half. And this is what's called a half square triangle. Once you've trimmed these apart, it's time to press them. So we're going to go over to our wool mat and make such a nice press for them. You want to go right in here to this crease and press from the crease out. So it's nice and flat. We have a beautifully pressed seam. So now it's time to trim. You are going to use your 45-degree angle. That is going to go right along the diagonal. We're going to square this to 3.5. So we're just going to go a tiny bit beyond right here. Just a little bit, if you can see right there. Just a hair beyond the 3.5. And we're going to trim right here, and we're going to trim right here. And you're going to flip it, trim to 3.5. You might think that just tacking up this teeny tiny little 1/16 of an inch or an 1/8 of an inch doesn't really matter, but it does. The more precise the block, the better it's going to look. Square up the other half square triangle and make a whole nother set, just like we did. The next part is to make the quarter assembly, and it is so easy that I don't even really have to show you this. All you need to do, take our square right there, sew that right to the bottom here. Then we're going to sew this one to the side right here. And guess what you end up with? Almost like a start of a log cabin. I've got these started. You're going to take your other 2 fabric combinations, put those together. Then you're going to have 4 blocks like this, 1 for each corner. Now we're ready for the side block assembly. And this is called the stitch and flip. I don't know if that's a real term or not. Maybe it is. Maybe she made it up. I don't know. I just call it stitching on the diagonal. But anyway, draw a diagonal line down the center of our 1.5 inch square. Place right sides together up in the left corner. Stitch it right down that line. Then all you have to do is take your rotary cutter, trim that off to 1/4 inch. Then you press. I like to set my seam before I press it. It makes it a little sharper. And voila, you have a great little stitch and flip block. See how the mat gives that perfect pressed seam. It's nice and crisp. Now all I have to do is take the rest of my squares and repeat the process. Now it's time to assemble the block. Lay out half square triangles in the center, side blocks, and your corner blocks. So now we're ready to put this together. Sew the blocks into rows, and then we're going to sew the rows together. Well, we have completed block 1.
Beautiful. Now this is in the Handiwork colorway. Of course we have 3 different colorways, but your pattern will tell you which letter to fabric to use in which area. So have fun making your block 1, and we'll see you next time for block 2, where we have a really basic and really easy block that gives us a little bit of depth to our quilt.